Hey, what's up, everybody? Kenny Lamons here with Medicare Millennials, the YouTube channel for Medicare agents. So today I want to go over what I believe is the number one key to successfully selling Medicare over the phone. So I know there's a lot of agents out there who are transitioning from in the field to over the phone, or they've already been forced to make that transition because of COVID or some other external reasons, or maybe you're just choosing to go ahead and transition to start doing Medicare sales over the phone or plan to. Well, today I'm going to give you guys real life examples of what I've done to increase your likelihood of success when selling Medicare over the phone, because it's certainly different than selling face to face. I just want to remind everybody who's watching this video to please follow us on Instagram. Ethan has been putting in a ton of work, really good content on our Instagram account, and it's just Medicare Millennials, just like our YouTube channel, just like this behind me. All right, so let's jump right into what I believe is the key to successfully selling over the phone, not just for Medicare, but for all insurance products. I believe the number one most important component is building trust, particularly over the phone, because building trust is no issue once I get to somebody's kitchen table. They've already let me in the house, they've seen me, they've shaken my hand. But when you're on the phone, this person doesn't even know you. So I believe there's many things important to an over the phone telesale, okay? You've got to know your products. You've got to have very clean scripts that you follow. You've got to be a really good closer to make sure they don't just hang up on you or wiggle their way out of it. You've got to know, once you make a sale over the phone, how do I keep it on the books? All of those things are important. However, if you don't build trust, you're never going to get to the end to begin with. It's a lot harder to build trust over the phone than in person. So what's the key here? I think there's several different things. Well, first of all, why is it key? I think is a great question to ask. So I kind of went over it already, but number one, they've never met you. Okay, you can be as smooth as you want over the phone, but they've really never seen you face to face, eye to eye, so they don't know for sure if they can trust you. Number two, they're constantly getting calls. You think you're the first person to call them about Medicare, much less all the bombarding mail, email, and television commercials and radio commercials that they hear constantly. So your voice isn't always enough alone to set you apart, to start to begin to build a relationship and build trust. And then it's also key because scams are a dime a dozen these days. I mean, seniors are constantly scammed. I don't blame them for being so hesitant to talk to a stranger, especially over the phone. Okay, so I think that lays the foundation. We can understand why people are skeptical, especially seniors, when you're trying to present and close a product over the phone. Now let's talk about how do you actually do that, okay? What are practical ways? If you're going to get into telesales and you want to be successful at it, what are some practical things that you can implement in your process to guarantee you're doing the best job you can to build trust with every single person you talk to? Some of these are really my opinion, but they've been effective for me, and they're tried and true as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to go over some that not everybody may do or may not think is important, but I do. Number one, I believe, if possible, it is advantageous for especially a new agent to sell locally or at least regionally, okay? So for me, I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I am super familiar with all the small towns, suburbs, anything within a few hours of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, I'm very familiar with. Therefore, I can build a lot of rapport with the people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Thankfully, there's more than enough seniors than I could ever capture on my own just within a 100-mile radius of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I target and focus on that region or that city and surrounding area. Now look, depending where you live in the country, I understand you may need to go to a neighboring state or work your entire state if you don't have big enough metropolitan areas or a big enough population, and that's fine. Just try to be as local and as regional as possible based on the leads that you're going to be working and based on your familiarity with the demographics and the geography and what the nearest city is and what are some what's the mascot of the town that they live in, etc. I also think that it helps you do a couple things. It's easy to build rapport when you're talking about, your spouse is a teacher at the town 20 minutes down the road, or you love that restaurant that's just a few minutes away from where you live, or, you guys have a mutual place that you go to. There's just a lot more easy ways for you to begin to feel like a real person. I think that's pretty straightforward. I mean, even if it's not intimate, like, hey, we go to the same restaurant, it can literally just be that you drop the name of a popular place in that area or one of the main streets in that town. How far are you from MLK Street? Anything like that is going to make you seem more like a regular person, less like a call center agent, which we don't want to be. We don't want to replicate them. So I also think that when you target local or regional areas, you're going to intimately become familiar with the specific plans in that area. Y'all don't understand how key that is. There are tons and tons of different Medicare Advantage plans across the country. Even with one carrier, let's say United Healthcare, their plans are vastly different, even from county to county, much less from state to state. And there's dozens of minor, small regional carriers in any given area. Okay, so if you can target one region, one city area, or at least just one state, you can eventually become intimately familiar with the plans. So every time that you're trying to present a product, you're not scrambling, entering in the prescriptions and the doctors into every single plan on Medicare.gov. You already know. You've narrowed it down to a handful of plans you're familiar with that will most likely be the best fit for that prospect. They're going to trust you more when you're already familiar with the plan that they have and all of the plans that they've heard of, the carriers that are most important. If there's a strong regional carrier, even if you're not going to present that, but you can mention it, boom, you seem local, you seem like a real person, and you seem more knowledgeable. Okay, so that's one thing. I think if you're going to sell over the phone, the more local or regional you can target, especially when you're new, is going to be the better for you. A strong lead source. So this is critical, guys. I mean, look, if you're selling, let's say, final expense insurance, you can go door knock a senior citizen complex until you're blue in the face. But when it comes to selling a Medicare product over the phone, not only one, do you have to think about compliance, but you also have to think about the fact that since they have never met you, the reason that you're calling them better be a good reason. All right. So what do I mean by that? If you're running Facebook campaigns, make it personal, okay? Tailor it to yourself. Put a video of yourself explaining Medicare benefits and that you're a local licensed agent. Or if you can't do that, at least on your Facebook ads, give an extra step after the lead form where they enter their information, where they go to a landing page where maybe they see a picture of you and your family or a little bit more information about who you are and where you're from. So when you get on the phone with that prospect, they can at least imagine who you are and imagine you're a real person and begin to trust you. If I run direct mail leads mostly. So with direct mail leads, no, they don't see my face on that direct mail lead. That's fair. However, when I am doing telesales, I still prefer to work direct mail leads because they still have a physical remnant. What I'm talking about, the reason I'm calling you today, Miss Smith, is because I had actually mailed you a postcard and it said XYZ. Now, you actually filled that postcard out and mailed it back to me. It doesn't end up in La La Land. It came to me, Kenny, in Weatherford, Texas. Okay, that's the reason I'm calling you. It's something physical. It's a meaningful lead. They're going to remember doing that. And since it came to you physically, they're going to think of you as an actual person, not a telemarketer. Okay, so that's super important. And if you are doing telemarketed leads, look, you need to find a telemarketer or a vendor that does a really good job of training their telemarketers to make sure they're prepared for who they're going to be talking to. Would you like to talk to a Medicare agent? Okay, great. He'll call you tomorrow. They need to build you up a little bit, tell a little bit about you, what your name is, what they can expect, what they need to have ready, so that, again, your lead is strong enough that when you get that prospect on the phone, they know a little bit about you and you can seem like a real person. So a strong lead source. Look, if you're struggling finding the right lead source, I don't claim to have all the answers, but our organization in a partnership with us does offer some really good lead sources that might be a great fit if you're trying to get into telesales. Okay, this third one is really important. If you've ever done a face-to-face sale, you know that as soon as you get decent at your sales process and you're confident in the product you're presenting, once you get into a home physically and you shake their hand or whatever, walk to their kitchen table, it doesn't take that long to build rapport. Okay, I always make a joke when I'm booking appointments. You know, I'm a short, brown-headed fellow with big baby blue eyes. I mean, I've already built rapport. As soon as they see me, they know I'm the guy that was supposed to be coming. And so rapport is really not that hard. I only have to spend a few minutes on it. You need to spend as much time as necessary building rapport when you're doing telesales. Okay, I didn't say how long. I didn't say it was, if you're on the phone with the prospect doing telesales, I didn't say if it was 5 minutes or 1 hour. I said as long as necessary for them to at least bring the walls down and have a little bit of rapport and trust with you. Okay, so that may take longer. Guess what? Little secret for anybody who stuck around here towards the end of the video. Medicare phone sales take way longer than in-person phone sales. You got to build rapport. You got to wait for them to go get their medicine and spell everything out to you. You got to be a patient person. That's okay. Take the time, build the rapport, close more deals. So here's some of my favorite ways to build rapport, especially over the phone. If they're married, I talk about that. You know, how long have you and your wife been married? Oh my goodness, I'm just on my 3rd year. I can't imagine being married 50 years. Are you retired? Where did you retire from? People love talking about where they retired from and what they did in their past. So I'll talk about that and I'll try to relate to it in some way. You know, if they were a retired teacher, well, my wife's a teacher. What can she expect? Any advice for us? Whatever it is, just find common ground in the things that are most important to them, their spouse, their family, what they used to do for work now that they're retired. And then local questions, okay? So if you don't live in the city that you're calling, at least familiarize yourself with it and say, well, I know everybody loves going to see the Alamo in San Antonio. I'm guessing you don't go into those tourist traps, do you? I know that's cheesy. I just made that example up off the top of my head. But what you did was you associated the fact that you know something about where they live and you've been there before. You're familiar with it and you're more relatable, and you're going to seem, what the ultimate goal is to build a relationship. So they think you're a real person and you become their actual trusted agent and advisor. I'm going to do a separate video on what I call a strong bridge. So once you've built rapport, how do you transition smoothly and confidently into a needs assessment and actually start asking the questions to make a sale? If you guys like this video, please leave a comment or like the video. And if you want more information on telesales or anything that I'm talking about here, please leave a comment or a suggestion in the comments for what you guys would like to see. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.